Hey everybody, my name is John Peluso. I am the CTO of AvePoint Public Sector. I am also a Microsoft Regional Director, focusing primarily on governance and compliance, modern workplace, specifically in obviously public sector, but also regulated industries. But I do talk to many customers, many customers who are on this journey to Office 365. Teams is obviously a big part of that. So what we're going to talk about today, in the next 19 minutes, is a little bit about what we've learned through going through this many times with customers about adoption, and also about some of the things about how we can give people with Teams more than just a blank sheet of paper, right? How do we service our unicorns, our little special folks within the organization, especially if you're in an Office 365 tenant that is servicing lots of different divisions or different segments of the business that may have different wants, needs, or asks. So we're going to talk about that today. Again, different people have different needs, and sometimes it's a need, sometimes it's a want, sometimes it's a requirement. You've probably seen this slide before, but my core information workers that are working in the office every day have very different needs than a field service team that needs to go out and address issues. What about an incident response team, right? These are all business scenarios that need a collaboration platform to operate properly. But if all I'm ever giving people is the ability to spin up a new team that says general and you go from there, that's not a very repeatable model, right? We'll move quickly here. These slides are available for you guys to download, so whatever I move past really quickly, you can view. This slide familiar to everybody? How many times have you seen this slide this week? Right? So this is a reality, and this is a slide that does bear presentation over and over again with your organization to help people understand why we are doing what we're doing, right? The idea is to move towards a converged experience. No matter what device folks are on, they have a single definition of identity for this functional team, and that team is instantly equipped with everything that they need to collaborate. Now, when normally we present this slide, everything we need is a SharePoint site and a planner, right, and maybe a OneNote. But again, these are blank sheets of paper, right? These are blank sheets of paper, and blank sheets of paper are sometimes very numbing for people. It's hard to figure out what they're going to do from there. So we're going to talk a little bit about a framework here where we can take advantage of the fact that Teams has a very configurable architecture. How many of you are old SharePoint dogs? Where are my SharePoint people? There must be a SharePoint session happening, right? SharePoint folks, how did we normally think of this in the SharePoint world? We created custom what? Custom templates, right? We created these business-ready custom templates. Someone said, I need to run a new professional services engagement where I'm going to do the taxes for company X, and instantly upon provisioning, they had what? They had the right libraries, they had core documents, they had applications that were mapped in. That's how we did it back in the SharePoint days, right? We can do the same thing because Teams gives us that same idea of being able to bring resources in to that platform. So slide's already out of date, right? Normally when we think of a team, there's the team object itself, and that's the security boundary, right? This is your Office 365 group. The team is provisioned with at least one channel, right? That channel is called what? General, right? And off of that general channel, I get a few tabs, right? Files, conversations, and so forth, right? And then I can have additional channels. Now, up until private channels released this week, these channels were just what? They were attention boundaries, right? I might care about this, I might not care about this. And it was an area of focused conversations and sharing and topics, right? The tabs that support that collaboration were intended to give you everything you needed. So if I had a knowledge channel as an example, right? We could talk about education, I could tell you when things are coming up, maybe I'm going to host my lunch and learn meetings in here, but then my tabs might be the stream channel for all my recorded education, a link to a site that hosted all the corporate training, a link to my LMS might be all my tabs, right? So I had a place for people to go to collaborate around a particular topic area, and then I gave them all the resources to do it. This is generally how we work in teams. This is an interesting observation. We came to this observation with our own utilization, we're seeing it with our customers, and even in conversations with Microsoft customer success teams. This concept of empty deployments. An empty deployment is basically, we have Teams, I turned it on, go crazy, right? Because guess what happens? They go crazy, right? What you see generally with an empty deployment is a big spike in adoption at the beginning when people say, oh, this is brand new, right? You get about 800, 900 teams created. People are adding you to a team, you don't even know why, right? I'm talking to Bob across 8 teams and 47 different channels, and I don't even know what's going on. It becomes frustrating, and what happens after that initial spike is people get frustrated and they go away. Why? Because if you're using Teams incorrectly, email's actually easier. At least everything comes into one stream for me. I don't miss it, right? I'm not spread across all these things. So from a deployment perspective, these empty deployments don't work. What works a lot better is trying to get what we call gravity, right? Objects are attracted to wherever their collaboration lives. Guess what happens when you migrate someone's files from their file share to their OneDrive? They start using their OneDrive, because that's where their files are. Guess what happens when I move a critical business process that someone has to do from wherever it's happening now to a team? They start using the team. In our deployment at AvePoint, guess what department, what role in our organization was the fastest and most eager adopter of Teams? Sales. Did you come to another presentation that night? Oh, okay. It's sales. Why? Salespeople are known for, they'll send you an email, and before it hits your inbox, right, they're in your office going, I just sent you an email, it's about this, right? Immediacy, the immediacy of the collaboration, right, is what's very effective here. So if you give people the right incentive, if you create gravity, they will go there, right? That's how generally we see adoption working. And then the other thing, how many of you have noticed a particular attention by Microsoft at this conference to applications for Teams, third-party applications for Teams? Have you noticed an emphasis there? Right? And the reason is, most of the kinds of business-critical processes that I'm doing can be best served by additional applications, whether they be applications I build myself, or maybe there's some verticalized applications out there. How many of you have played, in the education space? Anybody in the education space? Right? What do you think of some of the Teams templates for education? Huh? Ready-built templates for certain purposes, right? Any of you played with some of the healthcare templates they have? All right? Just if you want to Bing it with Google, just Bing with Google for Teams templates. There's some pretty good information out there, right? So this is our, the model that we see quite a bit. We launch, we have an empty deployment, we launch, everything's great. John, I have great adoption. We've been live for 2 months and I have 6,000 teams. Great? I mean, I don't know, is that great? Maybe. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, I've got 4 or 5 different spaces for the same kind of collaboration, probably with the same people. And then a few months later, people start to get really frustrated, right? How many of you did a Yammer launch that didn't go well? How easy do you think it's going to be to get those people back to use Yammer again? It's going to be tough, right? What happens if you do this rollout, people get really frustrated, they see Teams as really confusing, right? What's that going to happen? They're going to stop using it, they're going to move away from it, and now you're going to have to really pull to get them back to it. So we want to avoid this kind of situation. This is the sob story. This is built for not a 20-minute deck, so I'm going kind of quick here. Right? What happens when we lose track of what we have? This is the definition of sprawl. Sprawl is not a number, right? I can't tell you what number equals sprawl, but the second you can't tell me what you have and why it exists and who it belongs to, that's sprawl, right? So that could be 100, 1,000, or 10,000, but that's what sprawl is. So, what do we do about this? The first thing is we want to make it easier for the users. How do we find these critical business processes that will create gravity in Teams, make it available easily for folks to get that ready-built template, right, and drive the adoption in that manner? Now, the tricky thing here is that while there may be some central and core services that your entire organization needs, most likely these scenarios are going to differ business unit by business unit or division by division, right? So it's going to start to get a little complex. In addition, while we're tricking the user into thinking we care about them by giving them these ready-made templates, the real reason, no, not the real reason, another reason why we're doing this is because if I know the reason for the collaboration, then I kind of know what kind of governance or management it's going to need, right? If this is a Christmas party planning team, right? What kind of retention do we need there, right? December 26th or something like that, right? But if this is a critical team that's planning process and policy that's going to get published to the whole organization, that's a very different animal. And this is one of the things that starts to coalesce between these two things. I'm making it easier for the users by giving them a more curated experience, but by definition, that curated experience means I know what's going to be going on there very likely, and I can put the right controls in place. Does that make sense? So the model is akin to something like this, right? Maybe there's some core services I make available. You want a generic team, you want a generic SharePoint communication site, great, you can have it, right? But how do I then define services for each of my special little snowflakes, right, that need them, or based on purpose, or based on role? These are the kind of things that we want to do. How many of you take the position, we're the central service provider, right? It's not my job to figure out what they're going to do with the technology, I just make the technology available, right? That is very, very common, right? Not my issue, right? Not my issue. It's going to be really hard to see great Teams adoption in that model, right? It's going to be really hard to see great Teams adoption in that model because the myth is that the users will just figure it out. And you may do that, right? That happened with us. We started with an empty deployment. We fumbled around with it, frankly, for a while. But then after 6 months, some of these sort of best practices started to emerge. We figured out, hey, this is a really good structure for a field team, right? A field account team. This is a good structure. It works out really well. It's kind of a best practice. What if we could box that up and make it available? And then also, we have a security audit. There's a specific set of things that have to happen, and we have these security audits all the time. This seems to be a really good way to structure that collaboration. Why don't we box that up and make it available every time we need it? If we're a professional services firm, we probably do the same kind of engagements over and over again, right? We're an investment firm. We do due diligence engagements. That collaboration probably has a similar pattern every time we do it. So what if we could box these things up and be able to deliver them out whenever we need them? Again, in the back end, what we're doing here is we are right-sizing the amount of control. And what does that mean? That means that my audit template, where I'm going to have interaction with third-party auditors, I probably want that to include some type of external access. right? Because I'm going to have to integrate with those auditors in some way, shape, or form. That is a very different model than a high security internal secret project collaboration. So not only am I giving you the right structure, the right channels, the right tabs, the right apps associated, I'm also, in the back end, tying that to the right one-size-fits-one model. Last step is, how do you figure out what the users are going to need? Right? How do you give them the choice? How many of you think that your users know when they need a communication site versus a team? See the Yammer announcement? When is a Yammer community a better choice than a Microsoft team? I don't want to open this whole conversation again. Right? Hopefully, if we've done a good job here at the conference, it's pretty obvious when a Yammer community is a better choice than a Microsoft team. It's obvious to you, it's obvious to me. It's probably not obvious to our users, right? So instead of just pushing this stuff out to them, giving them an ability to tell you what they want, right? From a business perspective, here's what I need to do, and then be able to map them to the right template, right? So I want to collaborate. I want to collaborate with 10,000 people. I want to publish lots of information because this is a publishing site for all of our marketing materials. The right option there is what? That's a comm site, right? Why is it not a team? Because you can't have 10,000 people in a team. I know that. My user doesn't know that, right? These are the kind of things that we want to offload. So these decision trees are part of that process. Unfortunately, out of the box today, it's a little tough to do this, right? The technology to do this is not really there out of the box today. But what you can do is you can go first party, right? You can go third party, you can integrate with scripting, you can do all kinds of stuff to essentially put together a provisioning workflow where you can gather more information and point people to the right things, rather than saying, here it is, go figure it out, right? Another thing that we have to recognize, and this is something that also helps with breaking through some of the compliance blockers that you'll get, there is different kinds of collaboration that you're going to have in Teams, right? There's very different kinds of collaboration that you're going to have. The way I treat them, if I have this model where I can right size not only the user's experience, but also the back-end controls, now I can go back to my compliance auditors and say, look, we don't have to architect our offering to the worst possible case scenario. 7-year retention on every document. I had a customer that's what their requirement was, 7-year retention on every document, right? And that came because they have some regulated documents that require 7-year retention. Does that mean every team should have 7-year retention across every document? That's insane, right? External sharing. How many have you turned on guest access in Teams? Essentially, there's that giant switch, right? Off or on, click, right? To get your organization to turn that switch on can be very difficult. Why? Oh, people are going to just start sharing externally. We're not going to have any control about it. That might be true if you allow external sharing across every team, right? Now you're relying on what? Users to know when it's okay to do it and when it's okay not to do that. Depending upon the culture of your organization, that determines whether you get it turned on or turned off. But if you could have a model that says, when I have low risk behavior, and I know that the behavior is going to be low risk because I know what they're going to be doing in here, then I can have external sharing enabled with whatever hoops you need to go through to get it done. I'm going to have other teams, though, where the collaboration is riskier, and therefore you can't have guest access. Because while there's that one big switch at the Teams level, behind the scenes, there's little switches on every team. right? Those little switches turn guest access on or off for the team. It's a similar model to how SharePoint has external sharing for SharePoint in general, but then you can have more restrictive settings site by site, right? All right. Last couple of minutes here, and I've got the slowest building slides ever. This is the process, right? How do you get to this point? You get to this point through a very defined process. So this is actually, this kind of business-ready template journey is one that Microsoft internally recognizes from an adoption perspective as a great driver to get started with Teams, right? Discovery and best practice alignment. First off, right, here's what we know, right? And Microsoft actually sponsors this as a partner-led engagement. Partner comes to you with, here's the best practices we've seen elsewhere and what we see as our, core services, right? These templates that work everywhere. Let's talk about your specific business. What additional opportunities are there to can up some of the collaboration that you do? What does the template then look like? What I'm doing here is I'm mapping that business need. What is the right channel structure for that collaboration? What is the right tab architecture for that collaboration, right? Do I need to supply documents as part of the initial provisioning? And then the pilot deployment. By the way, here you're also figuring out how am I going to deploy those templates. Today, Microsoft is supporting template deployment of Teams, but it has to be based on one of the teams you already have access to, right? I'm a member of this team, I can create another team based off of this. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a curated list of templates that are audience targeted to the right individuals within an organization, right? And then you go through your pilot and you make any adjustments. All right, again, how do you do this? Most folks, it's not even an option if what you're doing right now is a manual process, right? How many have self-service creation of office groups turned off? Right? The opportunity there is that you can create that engagement point. The downside is it's going to be really hard to scale this, right? You have an opportunity to ask folks that question because they can't just go get it themselves, some generic team, but manually it's going to be very tough to do it, right? We've seen lots of folks doing this in a semi-automated way with Power Apps and Flow, and you can build some pretty cool things just doing that. And then, of course, there are third-party applications. Obviously, we have one, but there's a blossoming industry here of third-party vendors that are building tech to do this on a regular basis. All right. That was 21 minutes. I am going to get out of the way for the next presenter, but I am going to come by and stand over here if you guys have any questions. So thank you very much. Hope this was valuable. Again, the slides are available, so go ahead and grab them if you want.